And welcome in. Tom Pace from Talk of the Town. Today in the Caddo Registrar Voters Office, Shreveport, Louisiana, with the Registrar, Ernie Robertson. Something big happening this August, and it has to do with registration for voters. And Ernie, I understand it's not just the week across the state, but it's a full month here in Caddo Parish?
That's right. We're going to be doing Caddo Parish Voter Registration Month, and of course the state will be doing Louisiana Voter Registration Week, and we'll be doing some activities in conjunction with that. But Tom, we start August the 11th with Voter Registration Month. We'll be going to the libraries, the Shreve Memorial Libraries throughout Caddo Parish, and that's all the way from Vivian all the way down through the Hamilton South Caddo branch in Shreveport and everything in between. And we'll be going to each library, and most of the time we'll be going twice during the schedule. A couple of times we'll be going 3 times during the day. But I do want folks to know we're going to be doing a whole month. So any type of voter registration activities that you might need, whether it's to register to vote, change your name, change your party, information about voting coming up, come by and see us.
And the other part to it, this would truly be an outreach program. This would be mobile voter registration.
That's correct. Of course, mobile voter registration started back in the 70s here in Caddo Parish, and usually they would go to the mall. And then whenever we came along in the 90s, we actually had a motorhome, and we would go out in the motorhome, and we'd go to locations throughout the parish during the summer, about 100 locations in those days, and register people to vote, because at that time there wasn't mail-in voting. There wasn't online voting like there is now, online registration. And so we would go out and do those activities, but that all changed in 1995 when Motor Voter came to Louisiana as part of the national law.
And here it is 20 years later and still going strong. And Ernie, one of the things that as an update, you've added a website where they can actually do this online, correct?
That's true. It's caddovoter.org. And whenever you go to the website, you can actually register to vote right there online, and you'll need your Louisiana driver's license or Louisiana special ID. And if you'll look down beside your photo, there will be a little audit code, and you need the audit code, Tom, because that's the fraud prevention. You put in the code whenever you register to vote online, and that prevents Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse from registering to vote. And so it has worked quite well. We're getting more and more people who are registering online. A lot of people go whenever they get change their license at the Office of Motor Vehicles. They'll go ahead and register to vote there. You also can register at social service agencies, and we have registration groups whenever we get closer to elections who are always working to get people registered to vote. All those applications come to us, and we're going to process those. And Tom, if they go through, because it is an application, you're not automatically registered. We're going to match it through the DMV computer as well as the Social Security computer to make sure you're who you say you are. We go through all those checks, and then you'll get your voter information card before the election, and that's the key. That's how you tell if you're registered. If you don't get one of those, you need to be calling us at 226-6891, but you can call us regardless, and we'll be glad to give you information over the phone as best as we can.
So whenever they would call, you have regular hours here at the Caddo Registrar Voters Office here on Marshall Street, right across from the courthouse. What are those hours?
We're here 8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday, and you can call us during that time, as well as, in fact, of course, during the early voting period. We're open extended hours until 6 p.m., and we're also open some Saturdays, and you can find all that information at caddovoter.org, and that's the way it's going to be with the schedule for going out to the libraries this summer. We're going to so many of them on so many days. The best thing to do is check caddovoter.org to find out where we'll be starting August the 11th and where we'll be all the days all the way through down into September. And, of course, we'll be doing the Louisiana Voter Registration Week. We'll also have, Tom, a kind of a display, I guess would be the best way to say it, picture-type display on caddovoter.org that people can go through to see about historical voting. We'll have some of the old voter cans we used to use, as well as things relating to the suffragette movement back in the teens and the civil rights era back in the 60s, and some historical objects that relate to registering to vote, getting the right to register to vote, and that'll be on that display during the month of August. And we're looking forward to having that on there. It's something that I look for, objects that we can put on there during the year, and we add them to our display on there.
And you see, that's the history of voting all across the United States, and also right here in Caddo Parish, that Ernie has put on caddovoter.org. Ernie, when's the last day to register to vote?
Well, we're going to be coming up on that about 30 days before the election. The last day you can register is actually September 23rd. And that's the last day you can turn in an application. You can bring it here to our office, or you can do it online all the way up to midnight of September 23rd. But the key is it's got to be in our hand if it's a paper application. But online is actually the quicker way to do it. But you have to make sure that application goes through whenever you submit it. If it tells you you need to print it off and turn it into the registrar's office, that means you are missing something in there, and you're going to be in a jam if you wait till the last minute. So it's best to go ahead and try to do that as soon as you can, especially for college students, Tom, that are deciding to register both here in Caddo before they go off to college. It's very important that you go ahead and register now and get your application in. And then if you're going to college, then we'll have all that information, and you can request that a ballot be mailed to you.
All right. Now, if you're talking about registering, that's one thing. If you're talking about voting, that's another, because this year's ballot on October 24th is chock full of big races. And Ernie, some of those races that people will be able to vote on.
Well, first of all, it's a statewide election, so we'll have governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, commissioner of insurance, state treasurer, Commissioner of Agriculture. All those will be on the statewide ballot. Then we'll have locally, for the first time, as far as I can tell, at least probably over 100 years, we're going to have the sheriff's race and a special election for district attorney due to the death of Charles Scott as our district attorney. And so we'll be having that special election for DA in conjunction with the sheriff's race. And, of course, the courthouse offices, clerk of court, and assessor, coroner, they'll all be on there. And a lot of other races, too, that'll be on there, and some local races in some small towns. All that's coming up, Tom, October 24th. And the key to that means we're going to be doing early voting October 10th through the 17th right here at our office, 525 Marshall in downtown Shreveport, October 10th through 17th, 8:30 to 6 each day, except we're closed on the intervening Sunday, which would be October the 11th.
See, it seems like a lot, but actually, if you go to caddovoter.org, it's very clear. And the one question, there is one question that everybody seems to ask Ernie. What is that question, Mr. Ernie?
Where do I vote? Where do I vote?
Well, where do you vote?
Well, you can find out at caddovoter.org. That's the great thing about it. In fact, that's one of the reasons we started the website. On Election Day, we'll receive 1,000 to 1,100 calls, and most of those calls relate to, 92% of them relate to, where do I vote? And the way to find out, that's the number one button you can click on there, where do I vote? And you can go on there and you can find out where you go to vote, because it's very important. Sometimes people look down there and they say, well, that isn't anywhere near where I live now. And that's because they forgot to change their address when they moved. So it's always important, check your voter registration before the election. Now's a good time because you can get it all done. You could go to one of the sites that will be at the libraries if you want to come see us, or you can do it by mail, or you can do most of it online at caddovoter.org.
There is another big benefit for doing it online or finding out where you're going to vote, because also at caddovoter.org, they have photographs of the polling places, correct?
Right. Whenever you click on where you actually wind up going to vote and you find that information out, there'll actually be a photo on there showing you what the building looks like where you'll go to vote. And that helps a lot of people because they'll say, well, I drive right by there. And so that's why they're on there. But also, I do want to tell people you can find out the answer to most of the questions that you're going to ask, either from the videos we have on there or from the information, the click-throughs, or the stories that we put up literally on a weekly basis. If it relates to voting, like a polling place movement, it's going to be on caddovoter.org first. We try to get that information up there as quickly as we can.
Well, there you have it. It's coming up just starting August the 11th, Voter Registration Month, right here in Caddo Parish, in conjunction with statewide Voter Registration Week across Louisiana. But here we are with Ernie Robertson, Caddo Parish Registrar of Voters, inviting you to, don't forget, click it 24/7, caddovoter.org, and get out and register to vote. I'm Tom Pace from the Talk of the Town.